Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into Operation Shot Giant, a truly audacious cyber espionage mission that changed the world. And the target here? It wasn't just a person, but an entire global technology empire. So picture this. It's 2010, and we're in the office of a pretty important Iranian politician. He's just going about his day, doing his work, completely clueless that he's about to become a very small piece in a much, much bigger puzzle. You see, his office just got a big upgrade, a whole new set of internet routers. And these aren't just any routers. They are from the Chinese tech giant, Huawei. And that choice was totally on purpose. The thinking was, hey, if we use Chinese tech, we'll be safe from Western spies. But here's the thing. Buried deep inside the code of that router, there's a tiny, almost invisible flaw. Think of it like a secret back door, just waiting for someone who knows the secret knock. And right at this moment, an unknown hacker is about to knock. So how'd they do it? Well, the hacker used a kind of master key to just walk right past the password. And just like that, they had total control, full admin privileges. From there, they installed their own software, turning that supposedly safe router into a perfect little spy, logging every email, every website, and sending it all home. Now, when you hear that and you realize there are thousands of these routers all over the world with the exact same vulnerability, what's the first thing you think? It's got to be a Huawei, right? It just makes sense. They're planting backdoors for the Chinese government. We've all heard that story before. But the real story is so much more complex. Because in this chess game, Huawei wasn't the one making the moves. It was the chessboard itself. It was the primary target of this whole operation, run by none other than the U.S. National Security Agency. Okay, so that raises the big question. Why? Why would the NSA mount such a massive, complicated operation against a single company? Well, to get that, we have to look at Huawei's absolutely meteoric rise and the cloud of suspicion that followed it every step of the way. I mean, Huawei really is the poster child for China's economic boom. It started in the 80s as this small-time reseller of phone equipment. But after its founder visited Bell Labs in the US, he completely reinvented the company, pouring everything into R&D. And by the 2000s, its growth was just insane. But this rocket ship growth came with a trail of really serious accusations. In 2003, Cisco sued them, claiming Huawei had copied their router software so perfectly, they even copied the typos. Then Motorola said a Huawei employee stole their blueprints. And the Canadian giant Nortel, they were hacked from Chinese IP addresses right before Huawei released cheaper clones of their gear, which helped drive Nortel straight into bankruptcy. And as if all that wasn't enough, there was this deep-seated anxiety in the West about Huawei's connections. I mean, its founder started his career in the Chinese military, the company's ownership was totally opaque for years, and it got a ton of support from Beijing, so naturally people started to worry it could be forced to spy. So you've got this perfect storm brewing. Corporate espionage claims, military ties, this whole atmosphere of suspicion. And that's what set the stage for Operation Shot Giant, a top-secret mission that was handed to the NSA's absolute A-team. This operation was run by a group called TAO, Tailored Access Operations. And these guys, they're not your typical hackers. They don't just smash a window and grab what they can. No, TAO specializes in being an advanced, persistent threat. Their whole deal is to get inside a target and stay there, quietly watching, sometimes for years, without anyone ever knowing they're there. Now, thanks to the Edward Snowden leaks, we actually know what their playbook was. Goal number 1, find hard proof of Huawei's links to the Chinese military. 2, map out the entire company, inside and out. 3, use that access to spy on other countries. And 4, the biggest goal of all, turn Huawei's entire global network into a giant surveillance machine for the NSA. And get this, they didn't just meet their goals, they absolutely smashed them. TAO got into an email server right at Huawei's headquarters. They had a direct line into the inboxes of the company's founder and CEO. They were reading everything, and they even got their hands on the source code for Huawei's products. They literally had the keys to the entire kingdom. So this is the million-dollar question, right? With that kind of deep, unfettered access, did the NSA finally find the smoking gun? Did they find definitive proof that Huawei was building backdoors for the Chinese government? And this is where the story gets really messy, because you have two totally conflicting narratives. U.S. officials have said time and time again, Yes, we found concrete evidence of intentional backdoors, and Huawei's response has always been, that's nonsense. What you found were just software bugs, honest mistakes, not spy tools. Now, the US government's side of the story got a huge boost when the former head of the NSA himself went on the record right around the time the Snowden stuff was breaking and said this. I mean, that's a pretty powerful statement. And this really gets to the heart of the technical problem here, because a really well-designed, deliberate backdoor can look exactly like a simple coding error. It's the perfect plausible deniability. You know, who? Me? That was just a mistake. So proving intent is next to impossible. But, in the end, whether the NSA found a backdoor or just a bug, it almost doesn't matter, because the operation itself fundamentally changed the game of cybersecurity for everyone, forever. What ShotGiant really did was rip back the curtain and show the whole world just how fragile our global tech supply chains are. It proved that even the crown jewel of a country's tech industry, a company at the very heart of how we all communicate, could be completely owned. This showed that in our digital world, your biggest company can also be your biggest weakness. And you can draw a direct line from this operation to the kinds of massive supply chain attacks like SolarWinds that we see today. ShotGiant basically normalized the idea of going after the tech itself, not just the end user. It turned private companies into battlegrounds in a global intelligence war. Which really just leaves us all with one final, pretty uncomfortable question to think about. When the world's biggest tech companies become the battlefields for the world's most powerful spy agencies, who is actually in control of our data? And in a world like that, who can you really trust?